Welcome to Charts Today Energy. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Thursday, the 8th of November, comes to you from Vienna, where I was speaking at the Utility Week conference yesterday. And we start by looking at the energy mix. We see here Brent crude is just a little bit higher today, so that's having an impact on the energy mix. And just looking at the macro situation, the dollar is up this morning, so we're still short-term bearish below the cloud, but we look to be regaining that strength, and that means a return to euro weakness. So we are seeing that kicking in. The dollar still looking strong against the Japanese yen, and that's normally a heads up as to where the dollar will head, and so we are seeing dollar strength there. Sterling just down slightly against the dollar, mostly holding its strength. Against the euro, looking stronger as well, and against the Swiss franc still holding on. US stock markets were up quite dramatically last night after the midterm elections in the US. The S&P up 2%, the NASDAQ up 3%, and so we saw some quite strong performances in Germany today. We're seeing the DAX up 1%, and so we are seeing most markets looking pretty strong. Asia up except for China, and gold just starting to look a little bit weaker on that strong dollar, even though we are making a medium-term transition. Looking at crude oil, we start by looking at Brent. Brent is still sitting below the cloud on this medium-term chart. Just does suggest we've still got further to fall, although we are recovering a little bit on the 60-minute chart. We're not quite into bullish territory. We had a good run the first few hours of this morning. We've retraced that back. We've got an upside target on the 1-minute chart of 74.10, another one of 74, and a downside target of 71.10. At the moment, the upside targets are looking to dominate, so we may see Brent crude recovering to $74, but the medium-term trend is still suggesting to the downside. WTI has been in the bearish mode for longer, and again we see this recovery this morning. Multiple downside targets still dominating there on WTI, $60.10, $59.40 and $59.50. So this on the 1-minute chart is the one to watch. Watch for any further deterioration there. And if we look at US NatGas, interestingly, NatGas holding on to those gains, sitting at $3.51, still looking pretty strong. A couple of downside targets on the very short-term chart, but still looking pretty strong across the board with long-term targets. Heating oil is off slightly this morning. And we do have a couple of upside targets there, following crude oil basically, and RBOB. Again, 168, 167 are targets there at the moment. So still bearish looking on the charts though. Coal is up 3% this morning, so we're seeing a really quite big move. Yesterday, we hit that 88.50 mark on API2, and then we've pushed higher and higher. So coal is recovering. A shortage of upside targets here. Remembering that this data is on Thomson Reuters Icon. If you're using Trayport, you will have better liquidity on the screen, and your charts might have slightly different targets. So we are just seeing coal prices looking a little bit better on the short-term charts, but we still are lacking big upside targets on these charts, so it's hard to call where coal goes next. Richards Bay as not recovering as strongly as API2. Looking at emissions up 5% this morning, just marching up the hill. I was talking about this a lot at the conference yesterday. We are seeing a recovery there in the emissions price, so we're bullish in the short term. Got an upside target to further 3% higher at $20.20, so 20 euros 20. So we are seeing that, but there's again a lack of medium and long-term targets. Looking to gas, NBP, we're seeing up a further 1.75% today. Had a big jump yesterday, and interestingly, we met targets, but we don't really have. We've got this this big target here of 79.80. That's 16% higher, but it's a lone target. We do have 72.90, and there is another one on the 60-minute chart, 79.05. Again, if you're running on Trayport data, keep an eye out on this 1-minute chart for new targets being generated. This is NBP front month, of course. Looking at TTF. We see TTF pushing higher as well, up nearly 2. It's up, just clicked up 2% today, so looking stronger. We do have this massive upside target to 26.50 if we can make new highs above the peak that we've just seen. So it'll be very interesting to see whether we activate that. We've just activated a downside target to 24.35. Keep an eye on these multiple targets on the charts, but we are entering short-term bullish territory, having found support on the cloud. So gas prices looking a little bit better. NCG just is slower and later turning the corner. We've got an upside target of 5% there, but not yet activated. And Italian gas also just struggling to recover as quickly as we've seen on NBP. German power up a further 2% this morning. So we see here again the charts pushing higher, but there is a shortage of upside targets. We're not seeing the buying thrusts that are producing this, so it is quite hard to call German power harder on these charts at the moment. Again, your Trayport screen, you might have a little bit more visibility on the price. Looking at French power, we see also the recovery there, and Nordic power looking quite strong there, up 2% as well, but no clear upside targets. This is a feature that we're seeing really across the board. Looking at UK power, 67.30 is the area that we're gunning for at the moment. So that is looking quite positive there, and we are in bullish territory. The short-term chart just struggling a little bit. We are seeing a turnaround there. Dutch power up 2% as well. Across the board, we're seeing power prices rising off the back of the German power price rising short-term. Czech power, and then Polish power up 3.4% this morning. So we're seeing that rise. This is the exchange product in Poland, looking strong as well. Italian power up nearly 2%, but still in bearish territory. And Spanish power, obviously less liquid, still sitting in bullish territory, but very hard to call. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, back in London. Happy charting. See you then.